back or welcome to my channel. If you didn't know, my name is Megan. I am 22 years old and I am about halfway done with an accelerated nursing program. Today's video is going to be kind of giving you a little bit of a how I'm surviving slash what I did to get here slash my tips and tricks kind of video, I guess, all about accelerated nursing. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. Feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. I'm more than happy to answer them, or I will make another video, further down the line answering some more questions. So quickly, I want to give a little bit of a rundown on how I got to where I am right now. Everybody's journey looks a little different. So I went to a small Connecticut state school right out of high school. I was in their pre-nursing track. I did not get into their program when I applied freshman year. I felt like the school was no longer serving me. So after my fall semester, my sophomore year, I decided to transfer home to a community college for the semester. I was trying to figure out what to do with myself, going on all these different paths, all these different routes, looking at different things. I had heard of accelerated nursing, so it was an idea. I just didn't quite know how to get there. I ended up transferring to a New York State school. I graduated in 2 years from SUNY Cortland with my Bachelor's of Science in Community Health. I did phenomenal there. It was a great opportunity to raise my GPA, which had kind of suffered during my partying days of my freshman year of college. It gave me a lot of time to mature and grow into the individual that I am today. And during my time there, they talked a lot about accelerated nursing programs. They had a lot of students who went down this path, and I narrowed my choices down to 3 schools. I applied to Stony Brook, Binghamton, and Utica University. Utica University was my safety, and that's actually the school that I ended up going to. I was on the wait list for Binghamton. I didn't get an interview for Stony Brook. Honestly, not a big deal. I was sad in the moment when I didn't get into Binghamton because they had better housing options and it was cheaper, but I'm really happy with where I ended up, and I'm very, very happy with my life and my path in general. Definitely throughout the course of this, I've learned that failure or being denied or whatever it may be, it only has the power that you give to it. And I'm about halfway done with my program now. I started in May. I graduated from SUNY Cortland May 14th. I started this nursing program May 9th, so there was a little overlap. It is now mid-January and I'm halfway done with my program. I have 7 months left. I graduate in August. It went so quick. I can't believe, I feel like I blinked and Cortland flew by and nursing school flew by, and I just am very grateful to be where I am. A lot of my classmates have completely different paths. I know some people who kind of did the similar thing to me, but a lot of them were in their careers or, late 20s, early 30s, and decided they wanted a change, and they ended up embarking on taking the prerequisites and embarking on this journey with me as well. And I think that whatever path you go on, it's a good one to be on. And if you're passionate about nursing, you're passionate about helping people, and you want job stability, this is a great path to go on. And, I will always advocate for these programs, and I think that they need more attention and more people to talk about them. But enough of that. Let me give you some of my tips and tricks for how I have been surviving. So first and foremost, there was a TikTok, or I think it was a TikTok that I saw that literally changed my life in this program. I saw this TikTok of this girl making a Google Excel sheet. I don't know what it's called, Google Sheets thing, of her class assignments, exams, and everything. And then it's color coordinated by class and organized by date. I took that idea and I freaking ran with it. I have been obsessed with my Excel sheet. I tried for so long to be a planner girly, and it's just not me. I liked having things on 1 sheet or 2 sheets and having it right in front of my face so that I don't have to flip through a planner, or, I just feel like with planners, I never had enough space to write everything. And I didn't live for it. It's just not my jam. I think for some people, that's what works. I know a lot of people in my program who do use planners and it works for them. So to each their own. But what I do is my classes will usually open on Canvas on Friday, and then our semester will start on Monday. So I'll open my Canvas and I will go class to class. They give us like class schedules or class syllabuses with all of our assignments and exams that are going to be due week by week. So what I do is I go in for the one class, I make the top row like date, the assignment, and if it's done or not. And then I put in all of my assignments. I put and color that one class one color. I do the same thing with the next class. And then once I put all my classes in, I go in and I organize it by date. They all end up different colors. It's a glorious thing. It's beautiful. And then I go through and I insert columns so that I can put the weeks. I will put that right up on the screen so that you can see what I mean. Do that. You don't do anything else, do that, because even if you put it in your planner and once you have that, then you could just plop everything in your calendar or in your planner if that's what you choose to do. Personally, what I do is I have all that. I carry that around with me all semester long. That thing becomes a mess because I'm writing, I'm crossing things out. If we have like a lab concept check off that we have to do that week, I'll write it in. I put all my readings for the week on the side. It's literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. So then that moves me to my next thing that I adore. So like I said, I don't like using planners. My best friend has been these legal pads. I love these things. Like I sound like a 40, like my mom used to use these for everything. And I'd be like, why does she just always have a legal pad with her? That you need this. I mean, this is what works for me, at least in an accelerated program. I never used these before coming here, but what I do, so here's my little legal pad. And what I will do is I'll look at my Excel sheet and I'll write everything down that I have for the week that I want to do. If I have an exam coming up that week, I will write down all the assignments that I have due. I'll write down all the stuff that I want to do to study. So say I want to watch the Simple Nurse videos 3 times and then read the chapters 3 times. I will write each thing like Simple Nurse, Simple Nurse, Simple Nurse. So then that's the sloppy page. That page gets ripped off. We don't live for her because she's messy. Then I will flip to the next page and I write Monday 1/5. And then the next page will be Tuesday 1/6, Wednesday. And I will do, if I'm doing it for a week or whatever, I usually do it for each exam. So like if I just took the one exam and the next exam is in 6 days, I'm going to do it for 6 days. And then once that next exam passes, I'll do it again. Or if there's a week and a half, I will even do it then. So this way I'm planning when I'm doing my assignments. I'm planning when I'm doing my readings. Everything is accounted for. There's no room to be like, well, I don't want to do this. I have a to-do list going into every single day. I know what to expect. I give myself easy days. I give myself hard days. So this way, everything, it's accounted for. It's beautiful. So, I mean, a lot of what I will do is I'll write the date, and then I will write Picmonic, and if it's for med-surg, it's going to be highlighted in purple. And then I will write like Simple Nurse video, this. And as I'm writing these things and I'm distributing them, I'm crossing them off on here. So again, everything is accounted for. I have a plan. I started doing this halfway through second semester and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I did a modified version of this for first semester, just a little bit modified, not as intense. I didn't do it like weekly. I would like sit down and be like, okay, well, what is this recording? Oh yeah. What did I do to study for today? And then I would like write it down, highlight it, cross it off. It's a great way to like, even if you go to the library and you sit down and you're like, well, what do I want to do today? You write it all down, you highlight by class, or you highlight by like, oh, this is reading, this is an assignment, this is studying, like I honestly just can't vouch for this enough. I think it's the best way for me to stay organized. And then in addition to that, I also have a dry erase board in my room that I will like write random to-do lists on. And then I have a calendar in my kitchen that's dry erase, and I write like when I have lab, when I have exam, so when I have work, and that's just more like broad. And that's how I do my planning, and that's what works for me. Obviously it's different for everybody, but for me, like that's been everything. I will do a whole separate video on how I am successful as like a student nursing assistant in the float pool, but I will say that I also use these. I like print out my report sheet. I have all my patients on there, and then on these I organize when I have my vital signs. I like literally write like 0800 and like who I have to give vital signs on, or finger sticks, 0700, like, you know, so I like plan out my days and plan out my shifts like that. So next up on my planning and organizing need to have list is tons of highlighters in different colors, different shapes, different sizes. Like I was saying, I use them on my agenda sheets so I can highlight by class, or you know, I like to coordinate my Canvas color classes with my Excel sheet colors, with my agenda sheet colors. Like you know, farm is always light purple. It's easy to remember. I see it, I'm like, oh, okay, I have a farm thing to do today, or work is like this color orange, you know? And I also really love to use these when I'm studying, and I will write like pathophysiology is always this color blue. Nursing interventions is always this pink, you know? Like I love to organize things like that, because when I'm taking my exams, I remember the colors. It's crazy. Like I will sit there and be like, okay, well, this is this, it's asking about patho, so it's in blue on that page in my notes, and I wrote this mnemonic, and for some reason that works, and that's what I do. I brain dump on my exams. I remember colors. So I have tons of highlighters. I use them again for everything. I use them in my notes. I use them at work. I use them for organizing all my stuff. I simply adore them. And then I also have a ton. I literally have this pencil case stacked full. Like sometimes it doesn't even close because it's that full. I have tons of colored pens in here as well. I have dry erase markers in here. I simply have been overloaded on pens, highlighters, dry erase markers. I definitely need to go through this before this next semester starts. So if you guys want a like organizing for the semester video, feel free, stay tuned, subscribe. It'll be up in the next few weeks since I start school in literally 3 weeks again. Now let's talk notes. So every class is different. Every professor is different. Every program is different. You know, what might work for me in this one class might not work for me in another class, or it might not work for you at all, or one of my classmates at all. It's totally subjective. It's up to the person. But for me, the way that I like to take notes is on computer paper, blank computer paper. Again, I like to color things different colors. So here, I'll show you an example of one of my note sheets. So in yellow is the disease, and then the medical management is in purple, and then the nursing management is in pink. And again, this just works for me. If I'm like, okay, well, I'm like trying to look through my notes to find something. I'm like rhinosinusitis. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna look at the top because it's gonna be in yellow. And then, okay, I want the medical interventions. Oh, it's right there because it's in purple, because it's always in purple. Love. So I take my notes based on what I learned from Mike from Simple Nursing. He's a wonderful man. I watch his videos a lot, and so I started to take notes the way that he puts stuff up on the screens. And let me tell you, my grades improved significantly. So while we're on this topic, I will talk to you a little bit about how I studied for med-surg and what worked for me for studying for med-surg. It was way different for fundamentals. It was way different for health assessment. Like similar, but again, it all depends on the class. It all depends on the teacher. It all depends on the resources you have available to you. Some professors test heavily from the textbook. Some professors test heavily from their review videos or their PowerPoints that they put up. It really, again, it all depends on the professor. Some professors, you have focused review sheets. Some you have nothing. They're like, good luck, know the chapters. So what worked for me in my med-surg class, which was very textbook heavy, we, for the first few exams, did not have focused review sheets. I did poorly on the first exam. I will say that I got a 64. They ended up giving us some points back, so I had a 71, and then more points back, so I had an 81, which was amazing at the end of the day. But that first raw score really shook me to my core. I studied for that exam I went through and I I watched all her PowerPoint videos, I took notes on them, and then I went through and I read the textbook and made concept maps for all the diseases. Did not work because I did not learn, I did not understand, and I could not apply the concepts. So my biggest advice in med-surg classes, which are going to be your biggest classes, learn the material, then understand the material, then comprehend the material, and then be able to apply the material to questions. So I'll go through and I'll explain this a little bit more. I also want to make like a full in-depth studying video so that this video isn't 45 minutes long. So let me know if you want that below. But to keep it super simple, the way that I started studying after that first exam, which I got a 64 on, to then the second exam, which I got a 92 on. Love more than anything. So I went through and I found what the diseases we would be talking about for the second exam would be. So it was diabetes, it was hypertension, and I think it was myocardial infarction. So I went and I said, let me put this into Google, because this is not, I tried reading the book and I was like, this is not making sense to me. So I put it into Google and I found Simple Nurse. Simple Nurse saved my life. I'm not even sponsored. I don't even care. I literally vouched for this man and this program to all of my classmates. I was like, this is how you need to study. This is the video you need to use. So what I did is I watched this video and I took like really, I don't think I have my diabetes notes anymore. I took really, really good notes from them. I mean, like this is like kind of similar. So I took really good notes. They really outline the stuff that you need to know on your tests without filling you with like a bunch of jargon that's just like not necessarily important. So I went through that and I really learned what he was talking about and took really good notes. Then I put my notes aside and I went and I read the textbook with my handy dandy highlighter, and I highlighted things that, you know, I remembered him talking about, and, you know, things were starting to make sense, like endogenous insulin. I read that for the first time and I was like, what even is that? And then I came to find out from him that endogenous insulin, like in type 1 diabetes, type 1 diabetics don't have endogenous insulin. They don't make any insulin. That is exactly like, things started to click and make sense. So I went through and I read, and the way I read is I will, you know, read in my head a little bit. I will read and pretend that I'm teaching a class. I will get myself really passionate about the topic. You know, I'll look at myself in the mirror when I teach it. If I think something is really, really important, I'll take out my notebook and I'll write it down, and then I'll fit it back into my notes later. For things that I had a really hard time understanding or learning, like for example, all of the peak times and stuff and the durations for insulin, I made a whole story and I recorded a voice memo of me saying the story and what I did on the way to clinical or on the way to the gym, or when I was making breakfast or dinner or in the shower. I would listen to these voice memos of me saying these things over and over and over again. And for me, that worked phenomenally. Actually, the weekend before my second exam, I wanted to drive home because my friends from across the world were all home, and I thought I was gonna miss it, and I was like, you know what, I really have to go. So the entire drive, I listened to Simple Nurse. He would say, okay, well, let's talk about insulins. What's the mnemonic? He'd be like, I have a mnemonic for that. I would pause the video and I'd be like, the mnemonic is this. It means this, this, and this. So then on the Sunday before the exam, because we take exams on Monday, I did a lot of practice questions. I did practice questions over and over and over again. I found things that I was getting wrong a lot, and I like themes almost of what I was getting wrong a lot, and I went through and reread it in the textbook, or, you know, just refresh my memory on things. And then the night before the exam, I took a bath, I relaxed, and then I sat in my bed with my textbook, I reread some things, and then I called it at night and went to bed. The next day before the exam, I went through, I skimmed my textbook, I listened to my voice memos, you know, I tested my knowledge a little bit, I rewrote my notes. I miss that. I rewrite my notes a lot. So like I will take these beautiful highlighted notes, and then I will take my dry erase board and rewrite it over and over and over again, over and over again. And that is a trick that I learned from Simple Nurse. I mean, like he always suggested doing that for certain things, and it really did work for me. It worked to say things out loud a lot again. And, you know, for me, that's what worked. And I can't promise that your class will be the exact same way. If you have a focus review sheet, you know, just focus on the things that they talk about on that focus review sheet, or the blueprint or whatever, because most of the time it's very accurate, but you won't always have that. So that is how, I mean, I study. Again, you have to learn, understand, and then be able to apply the knowledge that you learned with practice questions. So that's kind of my holy grails for as far as studying go. This semester could look completely different, but again, like this is from this past semester, and this isn't even everything. I really take notes. I take a lot of pride in my notes. I was uploading my notes for my classmates a lot of the times. But yeah. And a lot of the Simple Nurse videos are on YouTube. Like, you don't even have to pay for a subscription, but I ended up getting a subscription because I wasn't sure if there was like stuff that I was missing. And I will probably get a subscription for the semester too, because I'm in pediatrics now. So now let's talk about how I stay sane, how I stay afloat, how I manage, you know, working, school, and like life balance here. So one thing I'm going to say to you is, in an accelerated program, my program is mostly online. So like all my classes, all my didactic classes are online, like learn at your own pace, but it's like you actually you have to keep up. It's not like asynchronous, you know, COVID school. But I treat this program as if it's a full-time job, and then I work part-time jobs on top of it. So what I do is I make sure that I am setting aside, like every single day I wake up and I say, what am I going to do today? Or on my agendas, I make time every day for school. There are days where like I have lab all day, and then I'm like, okay, after lab, I'm actually not going to do anything, or I'll sit on the couch and do easy assignments while I watch TV. One thing I'm going to say to you is, do not spend 13 hours a day studying. You will burn yourself out. You will crack under the pressure. I'm not going to lie to you. I went through a phase in between that first and second exam. I did really well with like studying, and like the stuff I told you guys was really well, but there were times where I was studying for 13 hours a day and I couldn't justify eating. I couldn't justify to stop studying for 5 minutes to eat. I would go to the gym, and the whole time at the gym, I was like going over YouTube videos instead of just listening to my music and enjoying it and doing something to take care of myself. So I'm going to tell you this. It is so, so, so important.
I didn't get that.
It is so, 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 so important to prioritize yourself and your mental health, and make sure you're doing one thing every single day to take care of yourself. For me, it's more like I need more than just one thing, but you know, I wake up, I make myself coffee, I make myself breakfast, I sit at my desk for an hour or two and do some easy studying, do some easy learning, and then I take a break and I go to the gym. I let myself have as much time as I want at the gym. I move my body, I get in touch with myself, and then I do some stretching, and then I come home, I shower, I eat, and then I get back into studying. I like to do 45 minute to an hour timers. If I'm doing 45 minutes, I take a 5-minute break after the timer goes off. If I'm doing an hour, I take 15 minutes off, and then every few blocks, I take like a 30-minute break and just go and like, when it was warm out, I would go sit outside, or I sit and watch TV, or I meditate. Like, I just do things that make me feel good. And then I try not to study past 8 or 9 p.m. because at that point my brain is so fried and I need to just lay in bed and just be and just sleep. That's another thing. Prioritize sleep. Don't, you know, run yourself into the ground. There was times where I would be running on 3 hours of sleep because I would wake up in the middle of the night like panicking about school. Like, once you turn off school, relax and breathe and put it aside. So one thing one of my professors said to me that really stuck with me is, you need to make sure you fill your cup with something every single day, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I have found that to be so true. In the beginning of this program, I would go on walks every day, and then I would go study, and I was in a spot where I was just so much more focused because my glass was that much fuller, you know? And then I was not pouring all of my glass into studying. So again, just really make sure you prioritize yourself and taking care of yourself. You will be okay if you are not cramming. Just spend a little bit of time every day, or a lot of time. It depends on the demands of your program, doing something for school. If you have school all day long and you get home at 8 p.m., don't do school. Plan your schedule and organize your schedule so that you don't have to do that to yourself. Like, Organizing and planning is going to be your best friend in programs like this, I promise you. And then how I balance working. I work a per diem job. I recommend looking into the hospitals near you, seeing if anybody will hire student nursing assistants, CNAs without experience, PCTs, PCPs. If you can't swing it your first semester, most hospitals will hire nursing students after their first round of clinicals. So a lot of hospitals do per diem work. I self-schedule myself the night before, and I can pick up a 4-hour shift, I can pick up an 8-hour shift, I can pick up a 12-hour, a 16-hour. I cannot recommend enough working a per diem job. Hospital experience is amazing, and this way I am not set to certain days every week, because literally every week is different, every day is different in programs like this. And I will say it's been really nice to have nights where, you know, I go to work and I take a break from studying, and I just go see things firsthand. And, you know, I like learned so much, and I love going in and applying my knowledge to the things that I'm talking about with my patients and working on. And it's gotten me to be so flexible, and like I love my job so much. I love working in the hospital. I think clinical experiences are great. I just don't think that they necessarily get you everything that you need. So you know, I feel like in my experience, they do 10 weeks of classes and then 6 weeks of clinicals. So you have 6 weeks of clinicals, that's 6 clinical days technically. For like med surg, for example, that's not a ton of experience. You're only there for a few hours. So it's experience nonetheless. It's amazing. If you can't swing it, don't. But I just like, I adore my job. I can't recommend it enough. So I think I covered just about everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. I do plan on doing more videos like this. I personally love talking about this stuff. I want to talk about more stuff in depth. I want to do a whole video of organizing for the semester. I want to do a video on like literally studying and just talking about what I'm doing to study for a certain exam and everything. So I'm also going to try and post vlogs of like interesting stuff that I do in nursing school. So if you like this video, make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe to the channel. There's going to be tons more content coming out this year, and I'm very excited for it. And thank you so much for being here, and good luck on your nursing school journey or whatever you may be doing. Good luck. Bye.
You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly.